Good morning from the garden is going to be longer than normal today because I have had a couple people ask me how I take care of my succulents. Specifically today we're going to look at the Christmas cactus and the aloe because it's watering day and I only water about every 2 weeks depending on how fast they dry out. So I wanted to show you some new things that have happened since the last time I watered. This one kind of turning red, which can mean she's getting too much sun, but sometimes it doesn't. And I don't know if I can get close enough. Let's pick maybe this one. I don't know if it shows real well, but she is kind of wrinkly, which means she is very thirsty. That one down there shows pretty good. So she is very thirsty. All of my Christmas cactus that I have purchased through fundraisers are still in their growers pots. And these are just little pots from IKEA. Certainly not sponsored, haha. But I love these little pots. So that's how mine live, unless they were gifted to me. And then I have put them in my own planter's pots and some other containers just to keep them identified. So this one in particular are pieces from, oh, it isn't this one, let me see. Yeah, actually, it is, and she's the one who's gone nuts. Huh. So this one was actually pieces from my grandmother's that she's had forever and a day, and my aunt propagated pieces from each of them, and hers are multiple colors in one pot. So I have put them in the white pot to keep them identified for myself and separate, but it says emotional support plant, which I think is hilarious. But she's also one that I'm highlighting. So since last time, she's gotten all these little babies just in the last 2 weeks, which is why I didn't recognize her. She's grown exponentially just in the last 2 weeks. So look, I don't know if you can see, she's got triplets coming off here, lots of new growth on her. So whatever I did last time or over the last couple waterings, she really liked. I did feed them all 2 waterings ago with a cactus and succulent food that I found at Walmart on clearance end of season. Even my dried out thirsty girl has a baby coming, so that may have something to do with it. The other thing, they almost all have babies. Could also be the time of year. They do like to bloom around Thanksgiving, this set of them. And I am a reusable pod Keurig coffee drinker because most pods do not agree with me. And not all of it, but a lot of times I will empty them and I save them and let them, let that used coffee dry out. Plant food, because it's in the same type of pot. And then a couple times a year, I will top off their soil with those spent grounds, and they seem to love it. They bloom quite a bit more than they used to before I started doing that. And that's about it for the Christmas cactus. Normally, I just run them under the sink, but for sake of demonstration, I fill them every 2 weeks to the top. It drains out the bottom, fills these little side pots, the IKEA pots. Sometimes they float. There's air coming out like crazy from this. You probably can't see the bubbles. There they are. She was very thirsty. You see the water's draining. I don't know. You probably can't see down in there without me dumping it, but I just fill it. So she is submerged. And then I leave it there for about half an hour. I'll do them all, set the timer, then I'll come back and just let them drain into the sink, dump whatever's still in the pot, and put them back on the shelf for 2 weeks. So the trick with them is to water thoroughly and then let them dry out completely and then repeat the process. So again, I only water these about every 2 weeks, and I saw a plant person online recently explain how the difference between overwatering and soaking like this, and he says fully submerging and letting them get a really good drink is a single watering. And it's when you water multiple times, like maybe every 4 days or something, or even if I was doing these every week where the dirt had not fully dried out, that's when the root rot happens and the overwatering happens, because they're not living the cycle that they need. Not all plants are like that. If you don't follow Tanner the Planner, I love his content, and he does a thing with either skewers or knitting needles where he'll stick it down and he'll tell you certain types of plants like to be 25% dry soil before you rewater, or 50 or 75 or fully dry. And with his skewer, sometimes he uses knitting needle. I may have already said that. The Lyme is affecting my memory. So then you just know per type of plant how dry they need to be. I also almost killed a tea plant that I had, I'm looking at her right now, by overwatering her. Managed to save her. I've had her longer than I've had Nathan. And at that point in time, I got a hydrometer, I think also lives under my kitchen sink. Moisture meter is what they're calling it. And when you stick it in the plant, so let's see, this one I haven't done yet. It doesn't move. And then the farther down, so some of my other plants, the water stays in the bottom a long time. But this one that I just watered, you'll see, like, maybe you'll see. But for the Christmas cactus, you don't need it. You don't need it. You pick it up, there's no weight to it, it's completely dried out, it's thirsty. That's how I do it. I don't use that moisture meter on any of these cactus, because the weight of the pot will tell you how dry they are. And I'm just going to get this one done, and then I'll show you the aloe. Ideally, the aloe would also be in a fully draining pot, just like these planters pots, but they're not. I like to reuse these 3-wick candle holders from good old Bed Bath & Beyond, and I can see the water and the roots in these because it's clear, so I can see how much water is going down. And I don't, because this doesn't have holes, I don't soak them the way I do the Christmas cactus, but if it did have holes, I could. So I just pay attention to when it looks like the whole pot is wet all the way around, and then I stop with these guys. Every once in a while I will kill one or overwater it, but I also can hold them and like dump the water off at the end if they are overwatered for the week. And then the only other one I have in this particular window is this guy that I bought at a Relay for Life fundraiser. Good old Finger Lakes had live succulents at their relay, and she grew wonky towards the sun. I cleaned her up a couple weeks ago. I may have posted pictures. I think she looks like a little palm tree. She still wants to grow sideways. But that's her beautiness in the front. And I cleaned up all the dead leaves that were like this that had dried up on the side. This little pic says, "You grow, girl." So you can see all these little babies coming, like little tiny ones, and these. And when I had cleaned up the leaves last time, see, she's got some dead under here too I can pull out. She had what I thought was 2 babies, turned out to be 5, so I replanted them. You can see I'm trying to get them to become new mamas like she is. There's another one. So they are all getting watered today. And then kind of the last one I wanted to share, these are my newbies that I rescued a bunch of dying succulents that were on sale at Walmart end of season, and I'm just trying to see if I can create new ones out of it, because it was a cheap experiment, let's say that. These don't pop out, so they might be a little harder to show, but I was talking to one of my friends this week. So you take the leaves and you let them dry out and scab over, then you just put them on the dirt and the roots will find it. So this little guy's got shoots. This part will eventually die. It's just the energy for the new plant. But look at this, oops, look at that little baby's coming. These guys broke off a different one. They're very similar to the ones I just showed you in the other pots. And then these guys, I got the 127 out of, oh, she's over here. She was a mound like that, and they are all separate little plants that have grown out of a bigger one. And look at that little red baby coming. And I'm trying to experiment with this one with shells in the bottom instead of rocks because I'm bored and I have crafting materials laying around, and I was like, I'm just gonna try it, see what happens. Not fully sure yet if all the dirt will end up covering them when I water. There's still quite a bit of moisture in this one, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna water her today or not. Gotta think about that, but these babies will all get a drink, and I'm gonna finish filling up these pots and start my timer. But that's it. I feel like the Christmas cactus are one of the easiest, at least for me, because you just let them dry out and they're very forgiving, very forgiving. And if you're paying attention to them at all, you'll start to see their little wrinkles when they get thirsty, but you don't have to let them get that dry either. But I am flabbergasted at how many baby, there's a word, it's like clave maybe, not working fully. Almost all of them have new growth just in the last 2 weeks. So I think that's more of a seasonal thing as they get ready for bloom. I'm not seeing a lot of blooms yet. In a couple weeks maybe I'll be able to show you that. But that's my Christmas cactus wall pretty much, and a few aloe. That's it. I love it, and I'm happy to help anybody else who wants to try to love it too, because it's so fun when those flowers show up. Talk to you later. Have a great week.